Let's look at a scenario that I'm guessing is going to feel painfully familiar to you. Picture this. You've executed the absolute perfect evening routine. You've done the math, calculating your sleep window down to the minute to guarantee a solid 8 hours. You've religiously avoided caffeine since 2 p.m. You didn't even look at an espresso. You went to bed at a responsible hour, fully expecting to wake up feeling like $1,000,000. But then, the alarm cuts through the silence of the morning and nothing. You don't feel rested. You feel like you've been hit by a truck. Your eyelids feel like they're made of lead. There's a thick, dense fog wrapping around your brain. You physically have to drag yourself out of the sheets, operating on zombie autopilot, stumbling toward the coffee machine before your brain has even registered that a new day has started. And you ask yourself the inevitable question: I did everything right. Why am I still so exhausted? Here's the anomaly. At this exact moment, thousands of miles away in Japan, there is a whole demographic of people who also slept for roughly 6 or 7 hours, maybe even less than you did. Yet they are waking up in a completely different physiological state. They are alert. Their cortisol levels are stabilized. They possess a calm, focused energy. The inputs are the same, or even worse in terms of duration, but the outputs? Radically different. So what is the variable here? What's the secret sauce? Is it a genetic mutation? Is it a specific diet rich in some obscure nutrient we've never heard of? Or is it possible that they have fundamentally engineered the process of sleep in a way that the Western world has completely overlooked? See, in Japanese culture, sleep isn't viewed as a biological inconvenience or a lazy indulgence. It is a critical component of a cyclical existence designed to reset the psyche and prime the somatic system for the demands of the coming day. The distinction lies not in the quantity of time spent unconscious, but in the quality and the methodology of that unconsciousness. In this analysis, we are going to deconstruct 5 specific Japanese sleep protocols that transform ordinary, passive rest into active, deep recovery. And here is the good news. This does not require you to move to Kyoto. It doesn't require investing thousands of dollars in high-tech biohacking gear or drinking rare teas harvested by monks on a mountain. It simply requires a shift in understanding the art of sleep. It requires implementing small, mindful, architectural changes to your routine that allow your biology to function the way evolution intended. Because the data suggests that the problem isn't that you aren't sleeping enough, it's that you aren't sleeping well. We currently exist in a cultural paradigm that fetishizes the hustle. We wear exhaustion like a badge of honor. You hear it in office break rooms and see it on social media. People bragging about functioning on 4 hours of sleep, implying that neglecting your physiology is somehow synonymous with ambition. The mantra, "I'll sleep when I'm dead," has become a "but let's get real and look at the neurobiology." Sleep is not a pause button. This is the time when the glymphatic system, think of it as your brain's janitorial service, washes neurotoxins out of your gray matter. It's when muscle fibers undergo protein synthesis. It's when short-term memories are consolidated into long-term wisdom. Without optimized sleep, your executive function degrades, your emotional regulation shatters, and your productivity evaporates, regardless of how motivated you think you are. Japan understands this paradox better than almost any other nation. While they are known for an incredibly intense work ethic, they view sleep not as the enemy of work, but as the fuel for it. It is a form of shokunin spirit, mastery of one's craft, applied to the craft of living. They focus on the density of rest. Through specific environmental controls, rituals, and a deep respect for circadian rhythms, they turn shorter windows of time into potent restoration. So perhaps the secret to unlimited energy isn't finding more hours in the day to sleep. It is about mastering the hours you actually have. When executed correctly, high-efficiency sleep can reboot your entire operating system. Ready to fix this? Here are the 5 protocols. Let's begin with the physical environment. Protocol number 1. Cool down the sanctuary. If you were to walk into a traditional Japanese bedroom at night, you would notice a distinct lack of sensory clutter. No blinking standby lights, no oppressive heating vents blowing hot air. But the most immediate physical sensation you would encounter is the temperature. It is cold. In Japan, the cultural norm opposes the Western tendency to create a tropical sleeping environment. A comprehensive study analyzing over 2,000 Japanese households during winter revealed that the average bedroom temperature hovers between 13 degrees Celsius and 16 degrees Celsius, roughly 55 degrees Fahrenheit to 60 degrees Fahrenheit. To the average Westerner, whose home is often thermostatically controlled to a cozy 21 degrees Celsius or 22 degrees Celsius, this sounds uncomfortable. It sounds like camping. But why is this thermal drop so critical? It comes down to thermoregulation and the circadian rhythm. For your brain to transition from wakefulness, beta waves, to deep restorative sleep, delta waves, your core body temperature must drop by approximately 2 to 3 degrees Fahrenheit. This is a non-negotiable biological trigger. It is not merely about comfort, it is about chemical signaling. When your skin temperature detects a cool environment and your core temperature subsequently drops, it signals the pineal gland to release melatonin. This is the hormone that regulates the sleep-wake cycle. Simultaneously, your heart rate decelerates and your metabolic rate slows down. You are physiologically powering down the engine. Conversely, if your room is too warm, your body has to fight to cool itself. This keeps your heart rate elevated and prevents you from entering the deepest stages of REM sleep. As Dr. Matthew Walker, a leading neuroscientist and author, explains, a cold room is essentially a biohack that invites the brain to hibernate. If you are sleeping in a warm room, you are trying to sedate a brain that the environment is signaling to stay awake. So, how do we apply this? You don't need to sleep in a freezer, but you must lower the ambient temperature. Aim for a target of 15 degrees Celsius to 18 degrees Celsius, around 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. If you live in a warm climate or lack central air conditioning, utilize cross-ventilation by opening a window or employing a fan to circulate air. The goal is to create a thermal contrast between your warm body and the cool air. You will find that your sleep onset latency, the fancy term for the time it takes to actually fall asleep, decreases dramatically. You stop tossing and turning, hunting for the cool spot on the pillow, because the entire environment is facilitating your rest. You wake up preserved, not overheated. This brings us to the second habit, which acts as the perfect partner to the cool room. Protocol number 2. The thermal contrast ritual, Ofuro. This is perhaps the most famous and widely practiced Japanese wellness habit. Every evening, millions of Japanese citizens engage in the ritual of the Ofuro, a soaking bath. Now, this is distinct from a shower taken for hygiene. The Ofuro is usually taken after one has already scrubbed themselves clean. The water is hot, typically around 40 degrees Celsius, 104 degrees Fahrenheit. On the surface, this looks like simple relaxation, but biologically, it is a sophisticated mechanism for inducing sleep. It operates on the principle of vasodilation. When you submerge your body in hot water, your blood vessels dilate, expand, drawing blood away from your core and toward the surface of your skin to release heat. Here is the magic trick. When you step out of that hot bath and into your cool bedroom, remember habit 1? Your body experiences a rapid dumping of heat. The blood at the surface of your skin interacts with the cool air, and your core body temperature plummets faster than it would naturally. As we just discussed, this rapid drop in core temperature is the biological green light for massive melatonin production. It tricks your body into thinking it is profoundly tired. Furthermore, the psychological aspect cannot be ignored. In the West, our evening routine often involves a chaotic mix of chores, scrolling through emails, and perhaps watching television until the moment we collapse into bed. We expect our brains to switch from 100 miles per hour to 0 instantaneously. This is mechanically impossible for the nervous system. The Ofuro acts as a sensory deprivation chamber that separates the day from the night. It is a liminal space. The sound of the water, the steam, the heat, it forces the sympathetic nervous system, fight or flight, to recede and activates the parasympathetic nervous system, rest and digest. So here is the actionable protocol. Approximately 90 minutes to 2 hours before your target sleep time, take a hot bath or a very warm shower. Do not rush this process. Treat it as a sacred transition. No podcasts, no waterproof phones. When you exit the bath, dry off and move immediately into your pre-cooled environment. This combination, the Ofuro followed by the cool air, creates a physiological cascade that renders sleep inevitable. You won't just fall asleep, you will essentially fall into a coma of recovery. When you wake up, the difference in your energy levels will be palpable. Protocol number 3 requires a shift in psychology rather than physiology. Language shapes our reality. In many Western societies, if you tell someone, "You look tired," it is interpreted as a derogatory remark. It implies you look haggard, old, or incapable. It suggests weakness. Consequently, we mask our fatigue. We medicate it with triple-shot espressos. We pretend to be energetic because we fear that admitting exhaustion will lower our status in the social or professional hierarchy. Japan offers a profound linguistic reframing of this concept. There is a ubiquitous phrase used in workplaces and schools, Otsukaresama desu. It translates roughly to, "You look tired," but it is used as a greeting and a sign of high respect. The underlying meaning is, "You have given your energy to the community. Thank you for your hard work." In this context, tiredness is not a badge of shame, it is a badge of honor. It is objective evidence that you have contributed value. Why does this matter for sleep? Because guilt is a stimulant. If you view your need for rest as a character flaw or a sign of laziness, you induce stress. You lie in bed thinking, "I shouldn't be this tired," or "I need to do more." This anxiety keeps your cortisol levels elevated, preventing the relaxation necessary for sleep onset. The Japanese mindset accepts tiredness as a natural, cyclical consequence of effort. It views the body's signal to rest not as a command to give up, but as a biological request for maintenance. When you respect the fatigue, you stop fighting it. You stop trying to power through the evening with artificial stimulants. This shift transforms rest from a reward you haven't earned yet into a biological necessity for tomorrow's performance. Rest becomes guilt-free. When you remove the guilt associated with doing nothing, your nervous system can finally disengage. So tonight, when the wave of exhaustion hits you, do not internalize it as "I am lazy." Reframe it as "I have functioned effectively." Tell yourself, "Otsukaresama." You have earned the recovery. By honoring the fatigue rather than suppressing it, you allow your body to initiate the repair processes, rebuilding muscle, organizing memory, and flushing toxins that it is desperate to perform. Protocol number 4 deals with energy management throughout the day. Master the micro-recovery. If you visit Tokyo and ride the subway or walk through a corporate office park during lunch hour, you will witness a phenomenon that baffles many tourists. You will see people in suits sleeping. They sleep on trains, they sleep on park benches, and sometimes they sleep sitting upright at their desks. This practice is called Inemuri, which translates beautifully to being present while sleeping. Unlike in the West, where sleeping on the job might be grounds for a disciplinary hearing, in Japan, Inemuri is widely accepted and socially tolerated. It is viewed as proof of one's dedication. You are working so hard that you have exhausted your reserves and are taking a brief moment to recharge so you can continue working hard. But the key here is not the act of sleeping in public, but the technique of the nap. The Japanese approach to daytime sleep is surgical. These are not 2-hour slumbers that ruin your nighttime sleep drive. They are power naps strictly limited to the 10 to 20-minute window. The science behind this is undeniable. A nap longer than 20 minutes risks dropping you into slow-wave sleep, deep sleep. If you wake up from deep sleep, you experience sleep inertia, that groggy, disoriented feeling that makes you wish you hadn't napped at all. However, a nap under 20 minutes keeps you in the lighter stages of sleep. This is enough time to clear adenosine, the chemical that creates sleep pressure, from the brain, boosting alertness, logical reasoning, and motor performance without the grogginess. It acts as a midday system reboot. Instead of relying on a 3 p.m. sugar rush or a 4th cup of coffee, which will stay in your system and ruin your sleep at night, the Japanese use Inemuri to bridge the gap between morning and evening. You don't need to sleep at your desk to apply this, but you should embrace the concept of the peace nap. Find a quiet location. Set a timer for 15 or 20 minutes. Close your eyes. Even if you don't fall completely asleep, the act of sensory shutdown creates a non-sleep deep rest (NSDR) state that restores dopamine levels. By regulating your energy during the day, you prevent the overtired, wired, and tired state that often keeps people awake at night. Finally, protocol number 5 addresses the modern enemy of sleep: tech discipline. We must be honest about our evening behaviors. For the vast majority of people, the bed has ceased to be a place of rest and has become a media consumption pod. We lie horizontally, but our brains are sprinting. We consume news, reply to text, and scroll through infinite feeds of short-form video content. We do this until our eyes physically cannot stay open. The problem is twofold. First, the content keeps our dopamine loops firing, keeping the brain alert. Second, and more importantly, the device itself is a weapon against sleep. The blue light emitted by LED screens mimics the wavelength of the sun at high noon. When you stare at a phone at 11 p.m., you are blasting your retinas with daylight. This signals the suprachiasmatic nucleus, your master body clock, that it is the middle of the day. This completely suppresses melatonin production. You might feel physically tired, but your neurochemistry is screaming, "Wake up!" In Japan, despite being a hyper-technological society, there is a strong cultural emphasis on the distinction between on-time and off-time. There is a respect for the the space or pause. A traditional Japanese evening routine involves quietude, low lighting, paper lanterns, and silence. To replicate this, you must implement a digital sunset. This means decoupling from your devices at least 1 hour before your intended sleep time. This is the landing gear for your brain. You cannot expect a plane to simply drop out of the sky and land safely. It needs a gradual descent. Your brain is the same. Use that hour for analog activities. Read a physical book. Journal your thoughts to dump the mental cache of the day. Stretch. Converse with your partner. If you absolutely must use a device, it is imperative that you utilize aggressive night shift modes that turn the screen orange or red, or wear blue light blocking glasses. But the gold standard is total abstinence. By removing the light and the stimulation, you allow your brain to naturally drift into the alpha and theta brainwave states that precede sleep. You don't crash from exhaustion, you glide into rest. If we zoom out, we can see that the secret to the Japanese paradox isn't magic. It is biology respected through culture. We often think that to change our life, we need to do something drastic. We think we need to overhaul our entire existence overnight. But the Japanese philosophy teaches us that transformation is found in the details, in the small, consistent adjustments to our environment and our mindset. It is the temperature of the room. It is the temperature of the bath. It is the permission to be tired. It is the strategic nap. It is the darkness before bed. If you are tired of waking up feeling like you haven't slept, do not just consume this information and move on to the next distraction. Conduct an experiment. Choose just one of these protocols to execute tonight. Maybe you just turn down the thermostat. Maybe you leave your phone in the kitchen. Maybe you take the hot bath. Observe the data point of tomorrow morning. You will likely find that you are a little sharper, a little calmer, and a little more ready to face the world. And once you feel that difference, you will realize that sleep is not a waste of time. It is the foundation upon which a strong life is built. Sleep well.